Hey, how about you, everybody? Welcome into the Auburn Live Recruiting Show. I'm your host, Jeffrey Lee, Senior Recruiting Editor for Auburn Live on 3. Today is Wednesday, March the 6th, 2024. We have a fantastic show for you today. We're coming off of the On 3 Recruiting Prediction Machine Day. We put in some predictions. We're going to talk about that. We're going to get some questions from the corner. Here to talk to me, Auburn Recruiting, and answer all your questions, Mr. Cole Pinkston, Mr. Allen Head. How about you, fellas?
How about you?
How about you, big dog? RPM Day, big day.
You know what? When I first learned about RPM Day, I'm just going to be transparent with you. I hated it. I was dreading it because I'm very particular with my picks. I obviously have the RPM rundown where I talk about the picks every Friday. I want that to be right. Take a lot of pride in that. For some reason, I woke up today and I was like, I'm ready to do this.
Let's go.
I want to put them in. There's some I'm sitting on the fence with several of them. Let's just do it.
After I figured it out, my strategy, last year's strategy was completely off. Now, I think I got I don't remember who it was. I think it was like Fat Burnett and Jaden Lewis and then some offensive lineman who committed.
I think you did Martavis Collins with me too.
Okay.
We both did him that day.
Well, and my thinking back then was, who does Auburn lead for right now? Who do I feel good about right now? And that kid had just left Auburn. It sounded great. But this year, Hugh Freeze really made it easy for me because I put myself in Jeffrey December.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, who is he going to go all out and not take no for an answer?
Yeah. So your picks were maybe more long term. Like these are the guys that we know are going to be in.
And I think, Cole, that's how you've been looking at this stuff.
Yeah.
As opposed to my short term mentality of, hey, he's going to commit to Auburn next month, or I feel like he's going to. I don't know what's going to happen after that, but I'm thinking now, and that's what I went into it. Like, who is he going? And I look at the top 5 targets in the state, and I said he's going to get probably 2 or 3 of these guys. So I'm going to start with the 2 I think is most likely. Derek Smith, Anquan Fegans, and then the Dice, the DJ kid. So let's talk about our RPMs real quick, Cole. Then we're going to get to questions from the corner. Cole, you put in picks for whom?
Number 1 of the day was Zealous Hicks, 2026 safety. Probably going to be, he's number 29 overall. If you're counting 32 5 stars, then if he holds steady, probably going to be a 5-star guy at some point. Saw that dude at Under Armour. Dude, every time he talks about Auburn, he just lights up. And that was the case at the Under Armour camp too. He's going to be back, and he told me he's going to have a decision in March. So that is one that's going to happen pretty soon. I don't know. I just feel great about Auburn there. There's a lot of things. I think Charles Kelly and Wesley McGriff are really big on that recruitment. So that was 1. Number 2 was Carday Smith. He goes by Smitty. 6'6", 300-pound offensive tackle from Williamson and Mobile.
Big boy.
He visited Auburn for the Iron Bowl in November. He told me then my top 2 schools are Tennessee and Auburn. And I don't think anything's changed on that front. I think Auburn's still up there. I don't know exactly where Tennessee is, but I feel really good about that pick. I think Auburn's probably the one to beat. And I do believe that he has just risen up the offensive line board here lately for a lot of different reasons. So I think Auburn wants him. I think Auburn's going to go after him. He's going to be there March 23rd, I think is what he put on Twitter right before we started this. And I think Auburn could wrap it up pretty soon. And then number 3 was kind of my reach. I say reach. It was the one where I kind of stuck my neck out on that one.
Went on a limb a little bit. Yeah, I love that pick, Colt, because I was considering him as my out-of-state guy. But
of course,
DJ was
our Ole Miss site also predicted him to Ole Miss today. That's going to happen when you have these days like this where everybody's got to make picks on who they feel good about. It wouldn't surprise me if this becomes an Ole Miss Auburn battle, a lot like it was with Cam Kamari and Franklin at the end. Obviously, Ole Miss won that one. They were not going to lose that one. Is that the case with Maddox? It might be. But I tell you what, this guy, if anybody was fired up about the Vontrell King Williams, and a lot of people were, this guy was fired up about that hire. He
Okay.
and his dad, Anthony Maddox, I believe, who played
Mhm.
NFL football, they love Vontrell King Williams and they love Auburn. So I think there's a lot of things going there where I could see Andrew Maddox picking Auburn.
The only thing I think Anthony is his father, and I think his older brother is of the same name. I think that kid, I think Ole Miss.
Yes, he is at Ole Miss, and that's that's going to be tough.
Yep.
Fully aware of that.
But hey, I'm right there with you, Cole. I think that was a solid pick, and what you were talking about, Kamarion Franklin, that Ole Miss was not going to be denied him.
Yeah.
The same. I looked at Auburn with Joe Phillips, Auburn with Perry, Auburn with DeMarcus, and I said, who is Auburn not going to be denied? I think Derek Smith is one of those guys.
Yep.
Big time wide receiver, athlete from Selma, Southside and Selma.
Yep.
Went back and read a couple of your stories on him and some of the things that he said and the relationships that he has with Hugh Freeze and Marcus Davis, and seeing Hugh Freeze being out in front of, he's not going to be as visible as he was in the 2024 class, but there are going to be a select few he's going to be there for. Derek Smith being one of them, Anquan Fegans being another one, Charles Kelly for Anquan Fegans. And then, of course, my hesitancy with Fegans is, excuse me, is, the USC defensive back coach is now at Georgia. T-Rob is now at Georgia. He's got an official visit set to Georgia. He's obviously now set an unofficial visit to Alabama. So it's not going to be easy. But neither was DeMarcus Riddick. Neither was Perry Thompson. Neither was Joe Phillips. All those guys were from Georgia, and he flipped basically all three of them from Georgia and Alabama. So that was kind of my mentality going into it. And then, of course, I keep saying DJ. His name is Dice.
Yeah,
Tavares Dice.
Tavares Dice, and that was 80% Cole. Getting some face-to-face time with this kid, having his family visit back in February before the dead period went in, and then moving up his commitment, just constantly moving up his commitment, seems to be in. And I tell you what, two other guys I considered, and this would have been my reach, Cole. I didn't really go reach. I didn't really reach, but I was looking at Zion Grady.
Okay.
I was looking at Naeem Alford.
That's one.
Boy, that would be that would have caused a storm.
It would have caused a storm, but I understand your train of thought, Jeffrey.
Yeah. No,
who will he not be denied?
Yes.
That's one of them. Especially if you still have Jordan Crawford, which I feel pretty good on.
Absolutely. The Parker connection.
Yeah,
Timothy Merritt was another one I considered.
Yeah, Tim Merritt. Yeah.
Access is a big deal in recruiting. Auburn's going to have access to Parker High School. They're going to have access to Birmingham. I'm not saying that Ohio State can't come down here and keep that kid in their recruiting class. They absolutely can. They've done it at a high level for a long time. But Hugh Freeze wants to protect the state of Alabama. He wants to surround it. And that's the kind of kid. He was open to Auburn. We know this for a fact. As of last October, he was absolutely very open to Auburn. So does Auburn show him enough on the field this year? Does Wes McGriff work that relationship to the point that he gets more comfortable with Auburn? Where's the NIL situation? I think those are the three letters that really kind of drive a lot of recruitments. Now, I'm not saying relationships don't matter. They do. It is still a very relational aspect to recruiting. But sometimes dollar signs can make heads turn, right? So where's that whole situation? I mean, it's to me, Jeffrey, you coined this perfectly. Commitments right now mean nothing more than you are the present leader for this young man. That's it.
Yeah.
If a commitment's not made probably in the month of October, I put about zero. October moving forward, I put about zero stock in that kid sticking in the class.
Agree.
October moving forward, you're kind of in a safe zone, right?
Not many more chances. There's a couple of, some visits, but yeah, I completely agree. Anything made before then. And that includes all of Auburn's commitments right now. It's not just Auburn poaching
100%.
others. It's Auburn's commitments as well.
Absolutely.
Yep. So we'll see how we'll see how it turns out. But I think that was I went back and looked at the stats from last year. The in-state 6, the top 11, 4 went to Alabama, and that's including Ryan Williams jumping into the 2024 class. Without Ryan Williams, Alabama signs 3 of the top 11. 3. Auburn signs 6. Including the top 4 wide receivers.
Yeah.
Oh, well, then Ryan Williams jumps in. But that just goes to show you the value that Hugh Freeze put on this class, on that in-state class. And this in-state class is just as talented, I think.
It's
at least
probably
top
not
heavy,
as,
maybe.
yeah,
deep,
it's not as deep, but the top 10 are as good as you're going to get anywhere in the country.
And I think the defensive line in this class is better. Honestly, in-state defensive line is better.
Well, that's good. We'll see how it pans out. Visits are going to start. Actually, the quiet period, which means recruits can come on campus, began on Monday. Auburn is on spring break this week. They're going to start back next week in spring practice, and we expect visits to be in full force beginning next week when these practices resume. Let's move on. Before we do, quick take on housing.
Yes.
If you're in Auburn or Opelika in Lee County and you're looking to buy a home, you're looking to sell your home, look no further for the help you need. Miss Jessica Andrews with the Talents Group, folks. She is superior. She is superior. She is fantastic. She is a 5-star realtor. She works at the Talents Group. Give her a call, 334-704-4442. Tell her we sent you. Okay, we're going to get to some questions from the corner tonight. We've got several. We want to get to it. Thank you, Zach, for reminding me about the ad read. After the, I didn't see that. Oh, that was 2 minutes ago. All right, let's go. I tell you what, man. Listen, I'm a little rattled. We're recording this Tuesday night. I'm a little rattled because of what happened in the last hour. My blood pressure's still up, big dog.
I bet it is, man.
I just want y'all to know the before we move on, the RPM on 3 RPM day, it's not required. It's suggested. I think it's fun. I think it's I think our members like it. I think our members appreciate us and respect us for going out on a limb. Some sites in the network did not. And that's fine. Absolutely fine. Until you take a shot. You take the first shot. You better be ready to defend yourself. All right, let's go. LLH5 wants to know, who were you guys closest to putting in RPM for blah, blah, an RPM 4 that you didn't actually pull the trigger on? We touched on this a little bit. My bad, LHH. But for me, it was name offered, signed Grady. It was Andrew Maddox. It was, and you know what? Honestly, this crossed my mind. Hussein Longstreet.
Yeah,
I mean,
I know he got a couple of picks for A&M Tuesday. He got a couple of RPMs and understandably so. He's been to A&M. He's going back twice more before he commits in April. But he's got a visit to Auburn coming up. He hasn't been to Auburn, and I just wonder how that visit's going to go. I know they love this kid. So that he did cross my mind. I won't say I really considered him, but he crossed my mind.
he should quarterbacks commit early.
Mm-hmm.
We all know this. This is a guy that they've circled. I mean, you just put an article out about the top 5 quarterbacks on Auburn's board. I think we all feel like Auburn's going to walk away with one of those 5. I don't think there's a chance that they don't walk away with a quarterback in this class. So to put in a pick for a guy that's extremely high on the board that's yet to visit Auburn, I mean, we kind of saw that with Walker White, right? He visited Auburn, and that changed the entire trajectory of his recruitment. So
yeah,
what happens?
That's exactly right.
Is it the same situation? Does it play differently? Does he go to A&M? Who knows? But as Cole quoted me today, it's too premature, in my opinion, to say that kid is all Texas A&M at this point.
Yeah,
he might go there for sure.
I think it might be. It may not be. He may go to A&M, and it may be never in question. But it feels like it might be a little too premature right now. I mean, I just talked to him the other night. By the time you're listening, well, there will be a story up on that interview, and man, he had me convinced that he is just. I mean, he said Auburn's one of his favorites, and he's never been there before. The guy's got family. I mean, he's actually from Slidell, Louisiana. So it's not like he's a California guy all the way. I mean, he even said, look, I wouldn't mind getting back to the South. Has some family in Georgia. There's some things going on there. that make you go, okay, well, maybe Auburn could. Here's what I think, though. In your line of thinking, Jeffrey, in the same kind of line of thinking, if Auburn's going to pull the trigger and really just unload on a guy and say, this is the guy, whether that be, we're calling you every day, or that's the money that happens, the NIL, whatever. I don't know. It almost feels like they want Hugh Freeze's been an offensive guy, quarterback guy. He probably feels like a guy like him would be the igniter to a class. So maybe it seems like there are other guys trending away from Auburn right now, or things are maybe, I don't know. I think they're going to get that quarterback right, and then let all the other dominoes fall. That's how they did it with Walker White. He was an igniter in last year's class. I think they could do that with Hussein Longstreet. That's the guy. It really feels like they've honed in on this guy. So I don't think Auburn's going down without a serious fight here.
Completely agree.
But to the question.
Yeah, there you go.
Two guys that were on my mind. One of them I want to start talking about a little bit more. We haven't talked much about him. One was Anquan Fagans, however you pronounce it. I was thinking about that one. I like where Auburn sits there. Herbert Third Scroggins is
Love
one.
that kid.
Third. You just refer to him as Third. That's what he told me on the phone.
Is he a butler?
Yeah, he is the third Herbert Scroggins. So he goes by Third. That's his name. He is teammates with Jacoby Ward, who we wrote about the other night, as an offensive lineman that Auburn loves. I think Auburn wants both of them, and I think Auburn wants both of them a lot. And Third Scroggins seems like he really likes Auburn, and he's going to make his first trip with Jacoby Ward at the end of March. So I that's one that I am really
What
watching.
position does Auburn want him?
He's an edge.
Edge?
Yep. He's a buck.
Buck.
Yeah.
He was on. I did a list the other day. Somebody was asking me, do we have any recruiting class favorites? And they of highly ranked guys and of guys that you would call NIL value picks. And he was, at this point, he's in my NIL value pick section, but I love that kid. I mean, you watch his first step get off. And how relentless he is pursuing the passer. I mean, he's got something.
Reminds me a lot of. Do you remember when Jamonte Waller's film first surfaced? And everybody was going, "Good gracious!" Now that's an edge rusher.
Right.
That's how it feels watching his film.
For sure. And I didn't get to make a pick today, but if I were making one, he wouldn't have been on my list, but he's on my cut because I think at the end of the day, the connection to Derek Nix is going to get this one done. I think they're going to say, I want a running back in this class, and I want this kid, and it's going to be a Kylan Deere. That's the one. If I could have made a pick today and I wouldn't have pulled the trigger on it, it's him. There's just something about that one that I think, okay.
He would have been your first off.
He would have been my first off. He's somebody I think they really are going to prioritize and say, you know what, we're going to go toe-to-toe on this one.
I agree.
River Otter's got a good question. Speaking of RPM picks, of those predictions we made today, 6, including Tazilas Hicks, what percentage actually signed with Auburn? And I thought about this too. I was doing this. I was like, I'm going to do 3, and I hope 2 of my 3. Obviously, the goal is 3 of 3, but realistically, of my 3, Tavares Dice, Anquan Fagans, and Derek Smith. I think Auburn gets 2 of those guys.
Mm-hmm.
They might get all 3.
I mean, honestly, I'm looking at that list, and I think 4 out of 6. That's
Cole had Carday Smith, Andrew Maddox, and Zealous Hicks.
I think you could get 4 out of 6 on that list.
Even if you get 3.
Dude, that's 50%, right?
Yeah.
Of course, there's always the turmoil you have in classes. Last year, we both did Martavis Collins. I mean, who would have known?
Sure.
The guy had just decommitted from Alabama. It's not like he was a slouch,
Didn't appear that way.
You don't know. You just don't know. It's really early to be making picks, but when you're looking at it as who's going to sign with Auburn, who are they going to make that final push for, I think it's a fun thing to do and a good way to get the ball rolling on these guys, where Auburn fans even start jumping in and are like, well, that's the guy. We're going to follow them on all socials. I mean, you know what I mean? Does that make sense?
I really think, and I'm going to pitch this to On Three. I think April would be more ideal with the recruiting calendar that we have this day. Let's get all these visits in March over with. Let's get face-to-face contact with these 2025 recruits that we've seen once or kind of, back in the fall. They were 2025 guys. We were focused on 2024. We'd stick our mic over there for the 2025 guys, not literally, but let's get some more face. Let's get a better read on these kids before. I think April would be mid-April would be perfect. Perfect time for the RPM day. But whatever. All right, Alan, here you go, big dog. JMK wants to know if you had to follow suit and put in some 3 RPMs ahead, who would you have put in?
So I'm going to start with somebody who just got offered today. I love this kid's tape. I mean, I absolutely love the way he stems the route, the way he gets in and out of his breaks, how fluid he is, the speed on the speed that translates on the field. I mean, it's not, you can tell he's 4.445 and it's a legit 4.445. Tristan TK Norman. I think Auburn likes this kid. I have dug around on this after Cole mentioned his name. I think they really like this kid. He has got sleeper written all over him of a kind of kid like Bryce Kane that is going to shoot up recruiting rankings. And I think colleges in the SEC specifically have noticed that recently. Vanderbilt, Ole Miss, Kentucky, and one other besides Auburn have all offered within the last week. So he's starting to skyrocket right now. But that's number one. Number two, Cole already talked about him. Jacoby Ward. I think he is one of 2 or 3 interior offensive linemen that Auburn is extremely high on in this class. You think about South Georgia, the importance of recruiting that area, that territory for Auburn. And then St. Benedict's, which is it St. Benedict's?
Benedictine. Yeah.
Benedictine. Sorry about that. St. Benedictine, which is where Holden Gerner is from, if I remember correctly, military school. You love recruiting those kind of kids that you don't have to motivate them when they get to Auburn. They've been through a rigorous high school career, been held to a certain standard. So when they come in, they're going to be good in the locker room right away. But when you watch his skill set on tape, he's a people mover, man. He's a mauler at the line of scrimmage. Auburn needs offensive linemen in this class. I think he's one they're going to close on. And then last but not least, Eric Winters. I think when you talk about guys, even though I know Georgia is very heavily in it, and let's admit what we all know to be true, Georgia is extremely in this with Eric Winters right now. I think he's a guy that Auburn's going to circle at the end of the day, whether it's linebacker, whether it's safety, doesn't matter to me. They're going to keep him in state. They're going to get him in this class. I think that's a guy that they want. He was also another guy considered. Another in-state guy considered, Eric Winters. Sure was. Because I'm like you, J-Head. Put that $1 in there, that J-Head bowl. There you go, baby. Hey, we're gonna be rich by the end of this offseason. That's 7. Hey, Head. Eric Winters. I think if Auburn, he's another guy. I definitely think that could happen. All right, Smoking Joe AU. Cobb versus Alston. Jeremiah Cobb, Damari Alston. Who do you like as RB2 this year and why? Oh, man. This is tough.
I like Austin this year.
Really?
I like Austin, man. Jeremiah Cobb is flashy, and that's why everybody likes him, and they should, because I think he's legit. But Damari Austin's tough, dude. He is a tough runner, and he's better than I really, really liked what I saw from Damari Austin last year.
He's put a lot of work into his body. I mean, I know you saw him up close and personal, Cole, recently when you saw him at spring practice, but he is every bit of 210 right now and looks it. I'm with you. I think tough yards in between the tackles and a guy that's a above average pass protector, especially if we're going to throw the ball more this year, you're going to need somebody that can go in there and take on a linebacker when they cut loose or chip a defensive end. I think he's the kind of guy that you can also get involved in the pass game. I like Damari as number 2. We'll see what the future is for him. Does Jeremiah pass him by this time next year? I don't know, because again, and I think I've said this since last year, and I don't think anybody on this panel has disagreed, that he might have the most dynamic skill set in that room. Like he may be the most dynamic back, but is he ready to be number 2 in the SEC right now? I think Damari's a little bit ahead of him.
I think when it comes down to it, but man, I love me some Jeremiah Cobb. I would
know,
like
man.
to see Jeremiah get about a few more touches at least.
I think he's going to get Battier's coverage. It touches this year.
I'd like to see him get 6 to 8 a game. Is that too many?
I think what you saw in the Hank Brown show at the end of the bowl game, they put Cobb in there with him, and they were throwing it to him out of the backfield a lot.
Oh, yeah.
That seems to be a nice little thing for him. With Hugh Freeze more in charge, if he's the main guy this year, I think he is calling plays. You might see one of those gadget type roles for him at times.
Do they get him involved? Do they get him involved returning kicks this year? Like that's another way to get him touches. Like I
don't know.
That scares me.
Oh, I hear you. I mean, there's no listen. Special teams in the SEC, you can get your head knocked off, man. You can get injured big time on special teams. But he's so dynamic with the ball in his hands. You're trying to create opportunities for him if they decide they want to go that route.
It seems like Damari Alston might even be a better option because I feel like he has got great vision, and that's what makes him such a good back, in my opinion. And if there's an opening, I think he'd hit it wide open. So that seemed to be the way that they like to set up the wall on the kick return with Battie and hoping that he could hit that. Austin might be pretty good there.
Okay.
One thing we can agree on is that position, that room is fine.
Yeah.
I think you're okay there.
T-Keat. What are the ideal measurements or traits Auburn coaches are looking for in the secondary? Like height? They like speed? We think, yes. Mr. Allenhead. Yes, that's what I think too.
Speed and length. I don't think it's height, it's length. Right now in today's game, in a space game, you are trying to close windows as best you possibly can. You want length, reach, whatever, you know what I mean? And obviously the hips, if you're talking about corner, you want the hips to flip to be able to run with anybody in man-to-man coverage. I think you're going to get a good combination of match man, match zone in DJ Durkin's system. So you want guys that have high football IQs in the back end, people that are people that are aware, people that can make plays on the ball in phase. But at the end of the day, if we're talking one or two traits, I think it's length and it's speed. Those are the two things to me in any ideal secondary in today's game that you want. Cole, how do you feel about it?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just looking at the guys that they have. Devin Williams is not a big guy, so I don't think height is the number one thing they're looking for. I think Devin Williams is a fantastic coverage guy. So speed, sure. I mean, you could even look back at Nehemiah Pritchett and DJ James, and sometimes with Pritchett, you'd want him to be in coverage maybe a little bit better and maybe not trailing, doing something like that. James was pretty good. The coverage ability, and that's not necessarily just pure speed. I think you got to be able to cover, and Devin Williams has that. I look at Zealous Hicks. I think he's a guy that can cover as a safety, but he's 6'3". So
sure,
there's a variety. I think coverage ability is number one though, because they want to go back to that man coverage a little bit. It seems like.
Off topic a little bit. You know what I was thinking about when I was watching the combine the other day, and I was seeing that performance that Jalen Simpson was putting on out there because he put on a little bit of a show.
Yeah, he did.
Greg Brown. Scouting those dudes at football camps in his Crocs out there, man. Now look, say what you want about that cat. He knew what a defensive back looked like. I mean, no doubt he could pick them.
And he wouldn't answer the one question he's allowed to answer by the NCAA.
Only
coach I've ever asked that.
Jeffrey, I'll never forget that, man.
I'm out of the loop on that.
Greg Brown was anti-media, everything. Well, There was a point in time, Kobe Fuqua, I believe, was the guy.
Yeah.
And the only thing you can legally ask a coach, even at a press conference, I could go up to Hugh Freeze in the middle of his Sunday press conference or whatever and say, Hugh Freeze, are you recruiting Cole Pinkston? And he can say, yes, I am, or no, I'm not. Well, I didn't know where Auburn was on Kobe Fuqua. And so I went up to Greg And this was in the old athletics complex, off the record. I mean, I'm just walking by him in the hall. I said, "Hey, Greg, are you recruiting Kobe Fuquay?" You know, I can't answer that question. Yeah, actually, you can. Anyways, yeah, he was too cool for school. Let's see. Robert Dale, 1, not to be confused with Robert Dale, 2. What happened behind the scenes with Antonio Coleman? I know that everybody likes to look into things. I think Alabama prioritized him, was not going to take no for an answer, and made it so that he couldn't say no. I mean, it's not like, they shipped him off to, Pensacola.
No, I mean, you're talking about a kid that had a relationship with Freddie Roach. Okay. He was committed to Alabama at one time. His good friend is Ryan Williams. I mean, I think we all thought that when Antonio Coleman flipped, having him in the boat gave Auburn an in even more so with Ryan Williams than we already had because of the relationship between those two. So to see him flip back to Alabama, I'm not surprised. And I'll tell you what else I'm not going to be surprised at, if Antonio Coleman flips again. And I'm not saying necessarily flip back to Auburn. I'm just saying flipped in general. Okay. Again, I think Alabama did a really good job of recruiting him. I'm not going to slight them in any way. I just think that young man gets excited. And then he makes a decision shortly thereafter. So to see him flip again, it would not shock me, but Alabama did a good job. They got, they prioritized him. Like Jeffrey said, they have a relationship with Ryan Williams there. I think their defensive coordinator did a really good job. And he had a relationship with him when he was the head coach at South Alabama. So that's probably your contact beyond Freddie Roach on that one.
There you go.
Yeah. I don't think anything's been hidden on that. I think it's pretty obvious.
Nothing nefarious.
No, not at all.
No. I mean, Freddie Roach still being there, that was a huge, in terms of his recruitment, that was a huge keep.
It was almost more difficult to believe he was committed to Auburn, considering Ryan Williams and Freddie Roach and all those guys were still at Alabama.
Right. You think about the relationships, right? And then losing JG.
Yes.
Who was probably his best relationship, even though he had a relationship with Von Trail. I mean, I think JG was his main point of contact while he was here.
Yeah.
Well said, A-Head. MP Bagwell. Jeff Bagwell. Remember Jeff Bagwell?
For the Astros? Hell yeah.
Oh, the new coach. Do you remember him, Cole? No. You don't remember Jeff Bagwell?
Is that baseball?
Yeah.
That's a big no.
Okay.
I can tell you about maybe some of the players that play for the Braves, but other than that.
Cole, you would like Jeff Bagwell. He's built a lot like you.
Yes. Yeah, and he can stroke, man.
He could stroke. Look, YouTube him after we get off. You'll like him.
All right, yeah.
He was great. He's fantastic. He would bend down. He was bend down like he was doing a squat. And anyway.
Zach,
I did not play the backyard baseball game, but I did have an MLB game. I just played with the Braves. That's all I played with. I didn't want to play with anybody else.
I hear you. Dale Murphy, Chris Chambliss, Bob Horner, Rafael Ramirez, Glenn Hubbard, Bruce Benedict.
You talking around your age, brother.
Yeah, that's not my generation is more Greg Maddox,
Chipper Jones,
Andrew Jones, Chipper Jones,
Ryan Klosky,
John Smoltz.
Oh, Smoltzy.
John Rocker.
Yeah. He was from Macon, Georgia.
Yeah, sure was. What about Jeff Francone? Or not? Yeah, Jeff. Yeah, it is.
Yeah,
Francoeur. That's Jeff Francoeur.
Right? That's what you said.
No, it's not.
All right, Bagwell. Let's see. Of the new coaches, there are several. Who will be the biggest impact in recruiting? It's a decent question here. If the answer is Charles Kelly, who is number 2, I would put Charles Kelly in my top 2, if not number 1.
Yeah.
I'm going to go.
Well, first of all, Derek Nix, TJ Durkin, Charles Kelly, McGriff's back. I don't really count him as a new coach. Is that it?
Von Trail King Williams.
Yeah, I'll count him. So who's number 2? Kelly's my number 1 of those guys. But just because the other 2 are coordinators.
Usually when we say things like, hey, we've heard great things about this guy, it's not from it's not from my sources. It's from players. It's from recruits are telling me Vontrell King Williams is getting after it right now. And you know, I know people look at the Antonio Coleman thing and go, well, look, there's a lot of things that factor into that. First of all, I don't pin a loss on a position coach like some do. All right. And for the same, I don't pin a win on them as much as some do either. I think they play a huge part in it, but I think there's a lot of other factors that you need to acknowledge always in recruitments.
I like that pick.
Yeah, but I'm hearing, and it's coming from recruits and players. It's not just coming from somebody that works with him. They really do think that he's doing a great job.
I like that pick. A young, hungry guy. I mean, look, we talked about it this time last year, and I think we said Josh Aldridge and Marcus Davis were two guys that would stamp their name in that recruiting class, and they absolutely did that, right?
Mm-hmm.
You look at the need on the defensive line in this class. Vontrell Williams is trying to prove to everybody that he belongs. I think he's going to go out there and he's going to get a home run. Now, he's already got 2 in this class. If you can hang on to Jordan Crawford and Malik Autry, you're already starting off. You know what I mean?
Don't be slighting my boy Caleb Edwards now.
And Caleb Edwards on top of that. I mean, you got 2 big nose guards in this class and a 3-tech already, but they want to add at least 2 more, right?
Well, so do you know who one of the main guys was that told me they were on fire about Vontrell King Williams? That would be one Andrew Maddox.
There you go. And that's a big one. You land that one, that is a monster defensive line class. So Vontrell King Williams, great pick. I think Derek Nix is also a good pick, contingent on his influence on the overall scope of offensive recruiting. I think he's going to be a guy that's going to be involved with a lot of people on the offensive side. So that would be also one. But I like VKG or VKW. Let's go with that one. Let's go with VKW as number 2 behind Charles Kelly.
He's going to be the hungriest.
I think so.
Oh, let's see. Ace is full. How many commits by A-Day, April the 6th? So we're about a month out. A lot of visits in between now and then. 2 or 3, 2.5 at the over-under. You taking over-under?
I'm taking the under right now. I think
1 to 2.
Yeah, I think 1 to 2.
I think that's fair.
I think Travaris Dyson potentially one more by A-Day because, I just don't think I think kids are going to want to visit right now. I think we're at that part of the schedule outside of 1 or 2 that really know what they want to do.
This is really not commit season. That's July.
It is. June, July is commit season. I think you'll have some trickle in, but I'm going to go with the under. But that still puts Auburn at what, 10 commitments? 9 commitments?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Significantly better than this time last year when you were rolling with 3 because you had Lane Gaines, you had Walker White, and then you had Jaden Lewis, and that was it.
Jaden Lewis, that's right.
Yeah, and then Collins. I think Collins was the next one on board, Martavis Collins. So
and then fat after him, right?
I think he was in April.
Him and Burnett were in April.
And it really picked up there at Big Cat with Perry Thompson and Marcus Riddick and Joe Phillips, and everybody started going.
Yeah.
So, 1 to 2. I take the under there. Decone 24. Who is the top running back on Auburn's hot board in the 2025 class? Decone 24 read my story last week, so he already knows. I don't know why he's asking. But Jay had talked about Jay had.
There we go. We're up to 8, baby. I'm going to be rich.
I said A-head. Y'all thought I said J-head.
Yeah, that's what I said.
That's what I said.
That's what I said.
All right. A Kylan Deere.
Yes.
We all unanimously think he's probably number 1.
I do.
Are you saying a Kylan or Ackland?
I'm saying a Kylan.
It is a Kylan, 100%. He has told me that in person.
Okay.
I think he's number 1. I'm sure Alvin's number 2. You know what I mean? Maybe 1B.
I don't know. I think they're both 1A, 1B.
Really?
That's how I would put it.
Really?
Yeah. Because, they want 2 guys. So I think if they want 2 guys, then there's a 1A, 1B situation.
Sure.
They haven't offered a lot of guys. I think the kid from Pike Road who's committed to Alabama, I think his name is Anthony Jones.
Turbo Rogers, right?
Rogers.
What I said is I think he's still on there. I think the Mills Knight kid, Shikai, from maybe a tier 2 guy.
Yeah, I think so.
But I mean, they haven't offered a lot of guys with. they've
there's
offered
another one. There was another one they've just offered recently who I would probably also put in tier 2. Gosh, I can't remember his name now. Anyway,
and then there was the kid from Louisiana that they offered.
Jasper Parker. That was it. Just hit me. So I think those two are certainly under a Kylan Deere and Alvin Henderson. I feel like those two are above everyone else. That's why I would say 1A, 1B. Whether one's above the other or not, and they would take both. So,
Jasper Parker's the kid from Louisiana.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, but you're right, Jeffrey. It's a real narrow board.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it is not.
Well, Derek just got here.
Yeah, he did.
He just got here, so he's carrying over some of his board from Ole Miss. He's putting together some guys that Auburn's been in on already. So it's kind of fluid right now. I think you probably see more offers. But anytime I see a running back offer, we all do, it's absolutely notable.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. Trooper Taylor's towel. Who are your favorite overall targets in the class in terms of talent?
Ooh.
In terms of talent.
Anquan Fegans.
Cole loves him some Fegans.
I do.
The big offensive tackle out of Kansas. I mean, he's just dripping with NFL upside.
Yeah.
Is that the Babylona?
Yes.
Babalola. Andrew Babalola. Yeah.
Andrew Babalola. Him and Josh Petty. They've got the clay of what you're looking for at the next level.
Right. Jordan Crawford's on my list, dude.
I love that kid.
I am a big Jordan Crawford fan. And for the same school, Naeem Alford is one of those guys that is just, boy, I mean, he is ridiculous.
Let's see. Zallen. If we lock down all the RPMs you put out today, 6 of them, where do you think we will end up in the 2025 guys? Where do you think Auburn will end up in the team rankings? It would be a good start.
For sure. I mean, that's a lot of blue chippers to add to your class, because I don't think there was anybody that was a 3-star in any of your picks today.
No. I think that secures you another top 10 class.
Yeah,
if you get those guys,
and you don't lose what you've already got in this class, right? You know what I mean? If you're building directly off of it,
I think. I agree, Cole. Definitely top 10. You're going to have to get some more dudes to get up any higher than that, but those guys will get you in the top 10. Completely agree. War Dad Eagle 2. Who is the next 2025 commit?
Tavares Dice.
We think.
Yep. Yeah.
Consensus.
I'll go with that.
Tavares Dice. And the latest on his timeline, Cole?
End of March.
End of the month. Right before A-Day, maybe. Maybe he's an
A-Day
guy.
Stress it again, though, man. He said first time we talked was at a game this season, and he said next fall. Whole year from then was his timeline. Okay. Next time we talk, gonna be in the summer. Okay, gotcha. Summer. We talked not too long ago at the Under Armour camp. He said, let's do March. It's gonna be March. So I think that he's gonna visit Auburn in March and maybe watch for it then. We'll see.
Auburn Shark 1595 right now in early March. How do you see all the signing class slot out by position? Let's see. 1 running back. I mean, 1 quarterback, 2 running backs, 2 OTs, 3 interior offensive linemen.
I'd say 2 to 3 OT, 2 to 3 OG. How about that?
Agreed.
3 to 4 wide receivers.
I'd say probably just 3 right now. Like, I wouldn't even put the 4 on it.
2 to 3 tight ends.
Yes.
Yeah.
We'll see. They've got 3 defensive linemen, probably 5.
4 to 5 for sure.
4 to 5. 2 edges.
Linebacker. Yeah. Yeah, you got to get 2 edges. Boy, it's got to be a big D-line edge class. It just has to.
And, of course, I guess that depends on Joe Phillips, right? They've got him playing over with the Bucs right now. You only lose 1 out of this class because J-Mac is turning pro after this year.
Yeah.
So you'll have 3 coming back, but I think realistically in the Buck room, you'd like to have 5, right? Like, I think that's kind of an ideal number.
Well, I mean, you don't look. Auburn has really, in my opinion, and this is no shot at anybody. They've had at edge, but they've kind of screwed themselves in the last couple of years at edge or Buck or Jack, whatever you want to call it. I love Jamonte Waller. I love Joe Phillips. But, man, Jalen McLeod went down for you in a couple games last year, and you were in trouble. How about when Eku Leota went down a couple years back? You had Marcus Bragg. That's it.
I think that's why I'm with you. The depth, the quality depth has not been there the way that it needs to be. And then the worry that you have in this one is if Jamonte Waller and Joe Phillips are your backups, are they ready to play serious snaps in the SEC? You just don't know.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Hamburglar. How big of a factor is the apparel deal for the basketball recruits? Could Auburn signing with Nike really open the door for those 5-star plus guys?
Yes.
I think so too. I think it's a huge deal. And even the people that I've talked to about this that know a lot more about it than I do, in basketball, it makes a big difference. It really does.
Again, so we talked about access in recruiting, right? When we were talking about it before. This gives you access to a pool of talent that you have not necessarily had the easiest access to. Now you've got Nike kids that have grown up in a Nike AAU system that have Nike, AAU coaches that push them to Nike schools. Let's be real about this, okay? There is an underbelly to recruiting that a lot of people don't want to talk about. And I'm not saying that anybody's doing anything underhanded or anything like that. But as an Under Armour school, you don't have the same level of access or reach that if you're a Nike school that you have. And it would benefit Bruce to be able to have all the same level playing field as Nate Oates or Duke's head coach or whoever. You know what I mean? Adidas has another really great grassroots basketball system, but Nike's got the deepest one, the best one. Look at Peach Jam each and every year and watch the kids that go and play at that event. I mean, that is the elite of the elite. And you'd have inroads with every AAU coach in the country that's on the Nike circuit. So absolutely, it would make a ton of sense. Does it make financial sense for Auburn? I think that's where they're going to have to make a decision. That's John Cohen's call. And to the best of my understanding, John Cohen is not talking to a lot of people about what he's going to do with the apparel deal. I think he's making that decision with a very small group of people, his very tight inner circle. And I think he's communicating with the coaches, but not telling anybody exactly what he's planning to do just yet. So it's going to be interesting to see the way this goes.
Should know relatively soon.
Yeah, I think they typically speaking, you want a deal done by about a year out from when the deal's going to expire because you got to produce new uniforms, gear, make sure everybody's outfitted. That's a process. It's not like you snap your fingers and put Auburn on a bunch of Nike stuff and it's good to go.
Maybe this summer.
I would think you would see something by June. You would know the direction Auburn's going to be going. So not too much longer.
I will say this. Gun to my head, I think it's going to be Nike.
I like it, Jeffrey.
I am so far out of the loop on that, but that sounds cool.
And I think I think Under Armour is offering a significant amount more money because they have to.
Correct.
I think Auburn, when they take that hit, I think they're going to make up for it in the sale of apparel. I think everybody's going to dish that Under Armour gear, and they're going to run out and they're going to fill their closet and their shoe boxes with new Auburn Nike gear.
I will say this. When I played football, I bought some Under Armour cleats. And, man, at the time, Under Armour was newer.
Click, clack, big dog.
I was like, man, somebody's finna get lit up. And listen, in the fourth game of the year, I'm playing middle linebacker. I'm running down a guy on like a toss play. And my feet come out from under me. I'm like, the bottom of my cleat.
Oh yeah, dude.
The whole thing. The whole foot was on the ground. I was running cleatless. So then I went. Our trainer, we always had like an extra pair, like in 10s, 10.5, 11, 11.5. There's a pair of Nikes over there. They were just the generic, like $30 Nike. I wore those the rest of the season. I had to switch them on at halftime of that game. I wore them in college.
Damn.
I still wear them to this day.
Oh,
Whenever I go get some flag football or something.
dude, I can see Cole lacing up those new Under Armours. Going, oh man, something's
Oh.
going down tonight, baby.
Yeah,
Click
dude.
clack.
Yes, he did. He looked at himself in the mirror. He said, "I look fresh."
Oh, I was looking. I was feeling good too.
Oh yeah, dude. Look, there's nothing like some good brand new apparel swag. You know what I mean?
But
Yeah.
man, they gave out on me quick though. I was so disappointed.
Well, let's see.
I've had mixed results with Under Armour gear for sure.
Yeah.
Love the way it looks. The
Right.
practical use has not always been great.
I agree.
Kyle Shue. How many games must Auburn win to have a top 7 class? It is not a requirement to meet a minimum for a top class, but we'll play along. Let's see. Top 7? Shit, they didn't even get that high last year. So I would say 9, 8.
So yeah, I think the calculus changes a little bit in the second year, right? Like I think you've got to show some progress. So it can't be as low as 6. Now, Mario won 7 this year? And did Miami finish top 6? I think they did.
Sounds right.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it can be done, but I would think to really be in contention for a top 10 class, you probably need to be 7, 8. If you're going to be above that, if you're going to be in top 5, you're going to have to be 9 wins plus, in my opinion.
Miami was 5. Team rankings.
Bro, he may not know when to call a timeout, but damn, he can recruit.
Yeah. I think 7 wins is enough to keep you safe and probably around the same area you were a year ago. I think 8 wins might be good for one more guy, if that makes sense.
So you finish 8, win another game, move up another spot. So
yeah, because it's just that extra. It's that if you win 8, then one of those wins is going to be a win that looks really good for you.
Agreed. And recruits more or less, like they don't look at wins the same way we do, but we're talking about the buzz that generates and the positivity. It eliminates the negative recruiting that can happen to Auburn. When you're at 6 and you're in year 2, you guys know just like I do. It's less about the win total and more about what everybody else is saying about you and how hard you're having to work.
Perceived.
Just to overcome that perception.
Yeah, and I've learned a lot that Auburn does get negatively recruited against on a lot of different things, which is, I think, if you're an Auburn person, probably good news because it does sell itself to an extent, and then you have, a good coaching staff that's proven to be good recruiters. So if you're having to get negatively recruited against, that means you're a threat, right?
Sure.
Correct.
Well, fantastic questions, man. We got some how about yous before we get out of here. How about yous this week?
Mm-hmm.
I have 2.
Okay.
I have three.
You guys go ahead.
Cole, do you have any?
Yeah, I got 4.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
I'm ready for you.
Ranger 361.
Okay. Oh, got me some Ranger 361 now.
Mm-hmm. Don Draper.
Oh yeah.
Oh, Don Draper. Mountain Hunter 56.
Mm-hmm. Another good one.
And Hendo 74, also known as Henderson, who calls in on the show.
Oh, Hendo. Hendo.
Been real active on the boards here in the last couple of weeks. He really enjoyed RPM day. So
did he?
Yeah.
I like Henderson now.
I do too. Good call he had on the show too. So
he had from Shelbyville.
Yes, he did. Called us on his break, man. That's dedication, dude. When you get a break at work and you call into the call-in show, that's also impeccable.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, impeccable timing to be juggling that Marlboro cigarette and also call us on the phone.
All right, I've got Hang Low 7. How about you, big dog? Hang Low 7. How about you, Zim Zam, for our Do You Sleep With Your Socks On?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Personal question of the week. The cue is silent. And then Kelly Greenbook, who also contributed to our Do You Wear Your Underwear Straight Out the Bag?
I like it.
To which everybody, but remember the Kirby guy.
Oh, Stan.
Oh yeah, Josh.
Oh, was
Josh
it
Corbett,
Stan?
yeah.
It was it was
No,
Stan.
it was Stan. You're right.
Was
yeah,
it Stan? He wears the socks because it's cold.
That's right. I'm getting confused. It was
Yeah.
Josh Corbett, right?
Yeah, that's it. You're right. By the way, I forgot to say what Ranger got one for.
Yeah.
There was a thread, food that you were ashamed that you like, and I put Mickey D's in there. I love some Mickey D's personally.
I hear you, big dog.
Ranger said that unidentified creature meat on a stick found at Chinese buffets. You know what? I love it too. I have no idea what it is, but I love
Chicken on a stick,
Yeah.
baby.
chicken on a stick.
Yeah, chicken on a stick.
Used loosely there.
Yeah.
Big time loosely. The Nightman cameth for me. That's the only one this week, but he had me in stitches a couple different times, dude.
He's a good one, man.
Yeah, he's
He
funny.
is. He is.
He is a good one. Hey, and thanks to all of our questioneers. We appreciate
sure.
all the contributions to the site, and we will be back. What's today? Wednesday. Remember?
Yep.
Don't we have? Oh, we might have an extra interview show. We'll see about that later this week. Be on the lookout for that. If not, we'll be back Sunday night for the call-in show at 6:30 Central Time. Don't forget, if you haven't already, go to Auburn Live on 3, get signed up, because the visits are going to kick back up next week, and it's going to be a lot. It's going to be pretty much every other day, if not every day. There's going to be visits. It's going to be top recruits. March 16th is shaping up to be a huge Saturday. March 23rd is shaping up to be a huge Saturday. Those are probably going to be scrimmages inside the stadium. So go ahead and get signed up. Again, if you're looking for a house in or around Auburn, Opelika, Lee County, give Jessica Andrews a call. She is with the Talons Group, 334-704-4442. She is a 5-star realtor. All right, folks, that's going to do it, man. We appreciate everybody listening. We appreciate everybody watching. For Cole, for J-Head, who used to be, who's no longer J-Head, Alan Head, Zach in the back, I'm Jeffrey Lee, man. Y'all stay at that left lane. See you.